All right, so here's the deal. Two main reasons for why I haven't been posting on here all that often so far this offseason. One, working on countless amounts of back-end projects between this channel and the Vault. And two, it's really hard to run two daily YouTube channels year-round. So with that, I thank you for your patience. Hope you guys are enjoying the offseason, and hopefully you're spending a lot of time with me and Sarah over on the Vault side of things at 12 noon daily. With that, let's get into today's episode. Welcome inside the channel. I'm Bobby Trosset. As always, this is where I bring you Baltimore sports and beyond. It's brought to you by my friends at Primary Residential Mortgage. If you could on the way in, like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Tyler Booker is a guard from Alabama. He's somebody that has been mocked to the Ravens. And by the way, we are 10 days out from the 2025 NFL draft. It's Thursday, the 24th of April. Sarah and I will have a mega cast coverage, and it's going to be all night long. Starting at 7 o'clock, we're going up until midnight. Really looking forward to that, and I hope you guys will join me and Sarah and all the guests that we're going to have in and out of that program that evening. Where I wanted to begin tonight was Mina Kimes' latest piece. She had Todd McShay on, former ESPN draft analyst. And what she's been doing recently is an exercise that essentially gives her guests different options. It's one or the other. And at 27th overall, she gave Todd the following two choices.
Ooh, I feel like the league is going to be infuriated that, let me get my two choices here. That this man has fallen to the damn Baltimore Ravens, Tyler Booker.
It always happens, right?
And then Ezraku is my other choice.
I would take Booker. This is a team that wants to run the football.
What a fit.
Yeah, it's a really good fit. And you go back to Ozzie. You know, this organization is they are so patient. They wait, and there's always someone there. It feels like they're always picking in the 20s, and there's always someone that falls to them. And I think that this would be another example. And knowing the Ravens, like they might be even move back 3 or 4 spots and still get a guy like Booker and get an additional pick. So, yeah, I think Booker makes a lot of sense there.
Okay, so Mina gave Todd two options, and he went with the Alabama guard, Tyler Booker. The other option on the table, as you heard there, was the Boston College edge rusher, Donovan Ezraku. He didn't really hesitate. And Mina set it up off the top, as you saw in the headline here, that the league would be, quote, infuriated if Booker ends up falling to the Ravens at number 27. So, who is Tyler Booker? Well, he's a dog. 6'5", 321, originally from New Haven, Connecticut. Played 3 years at Alabama. He's not a particularly fast player. Ran a 5.38 in the 40-yard dash back in February in Indianapolis. The 10-yard split, same thing, 1.96 seconds. So his athleticism doesn't necessarily overwhelm you, but there is a lot to like about his mauling ability, the leader that he is, and really just the force that he was at Alabama and how that potentially translates to the NFL level. He logged over 1,000 pass blocking snaps as a member of the Crimson Tide. 1,035 to be exact. And over those snaps, just 2 sacks were allowed for a pass blocking grade of 85.4. So he was a force at Alabama. And Todd McShay put a little write-up together, and I'm a subscriber of his new newsletter. And today's was titled, How to Build Through the Trenches in the 2025 NFL Draft. First of all, his player comp at the guard position is Steve Avila of the Rams. And he says Booker should be a good starting guard in the NFL for more than a decade. He lacks the athletic traits of elite guards in the league, but he's so damn consistent, powerful, and smart. He's one of the safest players in the entire class. His top traits: temperament, frame, and power. And there's a write-up for each one of those. Under temperament, Under Armour All-America staff rave about his competitiveness and work ethic. Alabama coaches talk about his character, saying he's among the top 1% of guys they've had in Nick Saban's group. NFL personnel I spoke with said he had the best interview of the combine. What about frame? Elite arm length, 34.5 inches, and massive hands, 11 inches. So while his traits, frame-wise, are elite, again, he's not going to blow you out of the water athleticism-wise. And his mobility isn't going to jump off the tape. And when he gets to the second level, that's not his greatest strength. Again, another trait here, power. Fires out low and has great leverage as a gap blocker in the run game. Squares up and rarely loses once he gets into a defensive lineman's pads. Speaking again to the physicality, the tenacity, right? That mauling ability. You saw under the temperament, though, the best interview of the combine based on some conversations that Todd had with his sources. That checked out during his media availability while in Indy. Listen to this.
And my relentlessness makes me the best offensive lineman in this class. Like, what you see on play 1 is what you're going to see on play 80. Like, I'm always trying to finish you. I'm always trying to put you on your back. I'm always trying to take a little bit of your soul away play after play. And that's what makes me different from everybody else. And that's been the same from game 1 when we played Western Kentucky to the Rely Quest Bowl when we played Michigan. I love the game of football because it's the ultimate team sport. It's the ultimate team sport. Like, you need people to win football. Like, in basketball, one player could take over, and that's the most relatable sport. Like, one person could take over, but football, you need everybody, especially on the offensive line. Like, you need all 5 guys doing the same thing at the same time in order to have success. And the football also just teaches you a lot. Like, no matter where you are in the game of football, like adversity is going to hit, how are you going to respond? And then everybody loves to play football but when it's easy, but who loves to play football when it's hard? And I feel like that's what separates the good guys from the great guys at the game of football. And then ultimately, I just love the aggressiveness and the tenacity of the game of football, like how is legal assault out there. And I love football because the brand of football that I play, I make guys not love football anymore. And I do that every down by really just giving them my all and letting them know I'm not going to let up. So the thing I love the most about football is taking the love away from other people.
Sounds like a lot of Ravens qualities to me. What you see on play 1 is what you're going to see on play 80. I'm always trying to finish you. I'm always trying to put you on your back. I'm always trying to put you on your back. I'm always trying to take a little bit of your soul away. Play after play. It's legal assault out there. I make guys not love football anymore. Okay, tell us how you really feel, Mr. Booker. Goodness gracious. More on the Alabama prospect via tape. And take a look at what he was able to do for Jalen Milroe and company. And again, I know a lot of you are probably thinking to yourselves, by the way, he's number 52 out there. Look at him. Again, in a phone booth, that's where he's going to dominate. I wonder how he would do in a Lamar Jackson scheme. Jordan Reed of ESPN is on record for analyzing Booker as an early starter at guard for teams that specialize in man, gap, or power run schemes. So again, when you put him in a phone booth and up at the line of scrimmage at the point of attack, this guy's a beast. And he's going to win. And again, he's a projected starter from day 1. Would that be the case in Baltimore? Well, he'd obviously be competing with the shoo-in starters at left and right guard, respectively, in Andrew Voorhees and Daniel Fa'alele. I'm sure I'm getting a lot of eye rolls out there in the audience right now because you're probably thinking, shoo-in my ass. But here are some of the highlights. Again, notable that while Jalen Milroe is a different skill set, of course, than Lamar Jackson, is going to have to prove it at the NFL level. I like the idea of how many reps Booker got with Jalen. He's a mobile QB. Got to fix and up his accuracy. should he want to sneak his way into the first round. And if a team does take a flyer on him, and really it's more than a flyer, you'd be investing first round draft capital. You'd be betting on your development staff, your quarterback staff, and your overall organization that you can develop Jalen like Lamar has developed and flourished in Baltimore over the last 7 seasons. But again, nice little mashup here. There he is pulling. I mean, again, the guy's a bear. He's a dancing bear out there. But again, you're not going to probably see him dominating and accurately dominating in the second level against linebackers. Cameron Walker's like, where would he start for us? LMAO, this pick don't make sense for us in the first round. Address defensive needs. And I don't disagree with that. I'm just telling you what McShay and Mina Kimes were talking about earlier, which was, hey, who you taking between Ezeraku and Tyler Booker? And McShay, pretty much without hesitation, went with Booker. And I'm sure maybe some of that analysis is due to the value at 27. Here's what he had to say.
I feel like the league is going to be infuriated that, well, let me get my 2 choices here. That this man has fallen to the damn Baltimore Ravens, Tyler Booker.
It always happens, right?
And then Ezeraku is my other choice.
I would take Booker. This is a team that wants to run the football.
What a fit.
Yeah, it's a really good fit. And you go back to Ozzy, this organization is they are so patient. They wait, and there's always someone there. It feels like they're always picking in the 20s, and there's always someone that falls to them. And I think that this would be another example. And knowing the Ravens, like they might be even move back 3 or 4 spots and still get a guy like Booker and get an additional pick. So, I think Booker makes a lot of sense there.
And of course, they're slated at 59 overall right now on day 2 in the second round. Here's what Lance Zierlein analyzed, NFL draft analyst for Tyler Booker. Again, you see the measurables here. They're off the charts, 6'5", 321. The arm and hand size, his frame is no joke. But again, the mobility is not going to overwhelm you. Matter of fact, go back and watch his 40-yard dash. It's one thing to look at the result right here, a 5.38. But when you go actually watch him, he doesn't carry his weight all that well. And I'm not saying it's easy to do so when you're 300 plus pounds at 6'5". But again, that's going to be important in a Baltimore-led offense, in a Lamar Jackson-led offense, given the mobility that a lot of his offensive linemen have had. Even the Tyler Linderbaums of the world, right? An underrated mobile center. The overview, according to Lance Zierlein, who again projects Booker rounds 1 or 2, day 1 or day 2. How about this? A former Raven is his NFL comp in John Simpson, who was in Baltimore for a year or 2 and started at, it was left guard, I believe, before he went to the Jets, if memory serves. But anyway, the overview, a 2-year starter and team captain with elite physical traits. Booker's a downhill run blocker with average explosiveness into first contact, but he utilizes his size and power to overtake defenders in his second phase of the block. He can play too far out over his toes, but that's correctable. Booker's an average athlete in protection, but makes up for it with technique and football intelligence to defend against twists. He's tough, smart, and a top leader. The traits, football character, and play strength will make him a good starter for a downhill, power-based attack. Well, clearly, that's going to be Baltimore in part. But when you're going downhill and when you're getting into those second levels and Lamar's doing what he does best, improving when a play breaks down, I need somebody mobile protecting Lamar and opening up lanes and holes for Lamar. Weaknesses, just because a lot of that was positive. Approaches too many blocks with outside hands. Absorbs rushers instead of consistently punching them. Average foot speed to ride or redirect rushers on his edge. Below average lateral quickness and range as a run blocker. Needs to run feet under hands for better sustain. That is Lance Zierlein's write-up on Tyler Booker, the guard out of Alabama. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat in terms of the exercise that Mina Kimes posed to Todd McShay, and that was at 27. Who you going with Is it the Boston College edge rusher Donovan Ezaraku, or is it Tyler Booker out of Alabama? More offensive line chatter, more guest lines, more content coming up in just a second. But before I do, this episode, as promised and as you heard at the top, is brought to you by my friends at Primary Residential Mortgage. And I got to tell you, one of the things, as I mentioned off the top, that has preoccupied me this offseason, aside from obviously everything that Sarah and I do on the vault, aside from all the travel to New Orleans, to Indianapolis, to Columbus, to Boston, and everywhere else in between, including a 3-week stay, working vacation down in Florida. And on top of that, all the back end projects that we've been doing, revamping our thumbnails, working on different sponsorship opportunities, bringing on another agency. It's been a really business back end filled off season. But one of the things that I've been working on is the pre-approval process, the pre-approval loan process to figure out if I'm eligible for home buying. And who I'm going through is Primary Residential Mortgage. And I feel like I've told you guys a lot about them over the years. They have been my longest standing partner, dating all the way back to September of 2023. And if you guys are interested, maybe you're kind of, I don't know, going back and forth on whether or not you want to buy a home, a great way to do so is clicking on the link that I have included in the show notes. It's also a pinned comment right now in the live chat. They have a quick and easy pre-approval process. You've got tailored guidance that's built in. My guy, Zach Evans, one of their loan officers, one of their business development managers, he's been helping me as I go throughout my process. And whether you're a first-time home buyer like I would be, or perhaps looking to upgrade, the mortgage professionals at PRMI are here to guide you every step of the way. You can begin your journey towards home ownership today. If you're interested, you can click on the link. It'll bring you to this site right here. Just click apply now. You can contact them easily by filling out this little form right here. There I am, pre-hair transplant. What a life that was. But again, just click apply now. You can get started today. And I got to say, they've been super helpful for somebody that is a self-employed entity as an LLC owner, the way that I am. It's been really helpful. And I appreciate Primary Residential Mortgage for all the help that they've been giving me this offseason. Appreciate you guys for being with me. Please like the video on your way in if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. You guys know how it goes by now. Here's an interesting stat that was compiled by Warren Sharp that I felt like was relevant just for the offensive line discussion because, again, we're talking about the Alabama guard, Tyler Booker. So Warren has a couple different things here. One, the most expensive offensive lines in 2025 league-wide. And look who's at the bare bottom in the depths. The Ravens have the cheapest offensive line in 2025 at $19.8 million combined. Obviously, that helps when your franchise left tackle, Ronnie Stanley, not only takes less essentially with the idea of loyalty on his mind, but the usage of void years, which is something that has become an organizational trend for Baltimore throughout the course of not only this offseason in both free agency and extensions, but really dating back to the Odell contract a couple of years ago. It also speaks to what they've done pretty well on, which is hitting in the draft, or at least developing via the draft and making them into starters. Now, obviously the expectation when you use a first-round pick on the Iowa kid, Tyler Linderbaum, that, yeah, he better be a day one starter from the jump, and that's essentially what he's become for the Ravens. It also helps when Daniel Fa'alele comes out of nowhere and ends up becoming a Pro Bowl alternate, whether you felt like he deserved it or not. That's obviously up for debate, but he gives you consistency or at least some kind of stability, even after a very rocky start at right guard. And I know some of you are, again, probably yelling through the screen saying, Bobby, that is an immediate upgrade opportunity. And yes, I do want Tyler Booker to beat him out in training camp. And in that scenario, yes, do bring in Tyler Booker at 27 overall. And some of you are just like, please do not bring a guard or an offensive line in at 27. I understand both of those different scenarios. Anyway, Roger Rosengarten, obviously a big hit in a big way through 1 year. And then of course, you can go to the left-hand side as well. The jury's still out on Andrew Voorhees. The right-hand side of this slide, again from Warren Sharp, is the total capital used to draft offensive linemen since 2022. The Ravens are just above average. They're right in the middle at 14. That is total capital used to draft offensive linemen since 2022. So, again, it just kind of speaks to where they are right now, salary cap wise, how they handle their business through the draft. They'll plug and play a little bit here and there in free agency, like they did with Morgan Moses, for example, a few years ago, which shored things up at right tackle, and they were able to transition immediately to Roger Rosengarten, even though they started with, did they start with McCary? I think, was McCary the starting right tackle week 1 last year, if memory serves? Now I'm just forgetting. Anyway, point is, they've hit on this position in the draft. And because of that, they've been able to cash in on a lot of these players' rookie deals in what is, an otherwise pretty darn young position group, all things considered. Prospect visits and a conversation I want to have about Shedeur Sanders potentially landing in Pittsburgh. But before I do, to Mexico City we go. It's been a minute since I caught up with my friend Manuel, and let's do that right now here inside the channel. Appreciate you guys for being with me on this Monday afternoon. And to the interim coach we go, who says he is unemployed, by Steve Bisciotti. Good to see you, my friend.
Hey, what's up?
10 days out, brother. We got the mega cast coming up. I've been obviously a little quiet on this channel, so I wanted to pop on, but it has not been for a lack of effort behind the scenes. I hope you understand that.
Hey, it's all right, man. You're doing you, and as you can see, well, Bisciotti thought that it's a good idea to have Harps for 3 more years. So
true. We have not spoken on this channel since Harbaugh was extended, have we?
No, we haven't. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, like you pointed out with Sarah, it's like he publicly said to Harps, just in a very polite way, either you win now with Lamar or,
Pretty much. It's do or die right now. And as much as it's fun to think about the missing pieces, who is it? What position is it? Look, they're one of the most prepared teams if they needed to roll that damn football out tomorrow to play if they needed to going into draft weekend. So it really is about not necessarily refilling pieces or finding missing pieces. It's just about retooling, bringing in depth, bringing in value, and that's exactly what they're in a position to do, which is kind of why it's been so boring the last few weeks. Like, they're ready to run this thing back.
Yeah.
And while that's underwhelming this time of year, and it doesn't lead to recklessness last month during the free agency time of year, hopefully it yields the results that everybody's looking for, 5 months from now? So.
Yeah, and, well, you have everything except just, I feel like 3 positions, in a matter of depth. O-line, D-line, and safety. More so because, Ardarius is in his last year. You try to contact with him, but fail. Not miserably, but, you're there, but you're not there. And I think he wants this year to prove it that he's actually worth more. On D-line, you got Michael Pierce is gone. So Travis Jones has to step up. Then you don't know if Brett Urban is coming back for this year because I haven't heard anything about a contract extension for a year or 2. And then on the O-line, you just pointed out, we needed someone different. If Alala goes down, it's Ben Cleveland, that's it?
Oh, gosh, who else is in there? It'd be Ben. They lost Josh Jones in free agency. There's another player in there. Let me look at the depth. Keep going with that thought.
Yeah, so it's a matter of, like you said, it's a matter of depth. On the out wide, you got D-Hop, you got Wallace, you got Tess, but you need to bring someone up like Miller, Wade. I don't know if Shamar Bridges is out there available even just for practice squad depth. And the special teams, you need that kicker from Miami. I've seen his tape. Oh yeah, he's a starter. Like for sure, he's a starter. But it's just a matter of, do you want to waste a draft pick on him, or do you want to bring him on undrafted? And if you don't want to waste a pick on him and you're hoping for the undrafted, if he gets lost, you have a plan B for kicker, because he's been like put out a blast. Like he's the kicker to be drafted, maybe late rounds, but still, if he's gone on the draft and you didn't get him, do you have a plan B besides him?
Well, speaking of kicker, Ryan Fitzgerald has a private workout with the Ravens, according to Justin M here on X at Justin M_NFL. And by the way, just to tidy up from a minute ago, there is really no one outside of Ben Cleveland. All due respect to Darian Dalcourt, Corey Bullock, who's the depth chart backup for Ronnie at tackle, and Nick Samac, who they used a day 3 pick on. I think it was 7th round out of Michigan State, if memory is serving me there. He's the backup to Linderbaum. So yeah, it's pretty clear what the objective is. One of the main objectives is going into draft weekend. But Ryan Fitzgerald, Florida State kicker, he went a perfect 13 for 13 this past season, as Justin covered here. Potentially, arguably, however you want to say it, could be the top kicker. He's got a private workout with the Ravens. They're doing their due diligence. He's the Lou Groza Award winner, or at least was a finalist of the Lou Groza Award winner. But reality is, it's one thing to be a decorated college kicker. It's another trying to translate to not only the NFL, but that if you get drafted in Baltimore and they're moving on from Justin Tucker, like the expectation is they will be once the conclusion of this investigation comes to fruition. It's hard to simulate high pressure moments in do or die football games when you're joining a team that's been knocking on the door for years now. So much like the question has been all off season long, how are you able to measure those types of abilities? How can you foresee whether or not a player is meeting the proper qualifications to deliver in big time moments? Sometimes you won't know until those moments, and it'll be a learning moment when they come around. And I think that's the tricky part about where this team is, not only potentially at kicker, if they do indeed move on from number 9, he who shall not be named. I'm kidding. But also really just team wide, right? That's been when I went on these road trips this year to the Super Bowl and the Combine and everything else in between. I wanted to ask everybody, what is it that's preventing this team from getting over the hump? And I think Joe Cena probably put it best on Radio Row at the Super Bowl. And it's essentially like pressure management. How can you measure how a player, how a prospect responds and handles pressure management? I don't know the answer to that, man. I'm not a psychologist. Never will be. Hopefully somebody in that department, in that organization is, because that might be the one thing that's preventing them from getting to the mountaintop.
Yeah, you never know. Speaking about Tucker, on that 2012-2013 run on the playoffs, he was undrafted. We didn't know him if he was going to make those field goals on the playoffs. Hell, on Denver, on second overtime, it's like, okay, now it's a field goal, but if he's going to kick it like Cundiff, wide left or wide right, I was praying, even though it was my birthday, I was still praying that, hey, make it at least to the AFC Championship. So,
that's a good point, Manny, honestly, because you're taking a flyer on an undrafted player out of Texas, right? Now, granted, the special teams group and Randy Brown and help me out here with the former special teams coordinator that discovered Justin Tucker. God, I can't believe his name is slipping me right now. Chad, help me out here. They were going to bring him in last year to serve as like a game management role. God, this is when you know that I'm in the dead of off season and I'm working on too many non-football things. Like
I think also because special teams has always been Harb's team, even though he has a special teams coach, but it's more so like he oversees that part more so than ever.
Yeah. Well, God, what is wrong with me right now? This is when you know, one, I've been getting up too early. I've been doing like 6 a.m. F45s for the last couple months, and I'm in a great rhythm. But I'm also working on too many business back end stuff, like way too much non-football stuff. I can't wait to just go full. Hold on a second here. He was the Broncos interim head coach. I just can't believe. Let's see.
Hi, chat, because it's eluding me.
Unbelievable. I can't believe this. It's pissing me off. Right? Jerry Rosberg. Goodness gracious. Oh, sorry, Jerry Rosberg.
I had a different name in mind because I had Joe Ortiz, but he was more so like the draft guy.
Man,
I don't know why he popped in my head as special.
Joe Ortiz, former director of player personnel in Baltimore. Apologies to Jerry Rosberg. But where I was going with this, major tangent and a major brain fart, is that Jerry is known to have discovered Justin Tucker. And I think the point that you make is, sure, they knew that he was super talented. They felt like he fit and checked their boxes for what they were looking for at the kicker position at that time. And certainly it proved to be true for years. And it proved to check out and age really well. Can that happen again? Are they going to go the undrafted route again? Will they use day three type of draft capital to bring in Justin Tucker's successor? Remains to be seen, but certainly their actions suggest that they're ready to move on, and I think they will. It's only a matter of when, not if.
Yeah, and even despite allegations, I mean, you saw it at the end of 2 years ago. This whole season that was a mess. I mean, 22 points from him that cost us games, or even not even games. Let's just say 22 points that cost us the momentum. Because let's put it that way. They cost us the momentum of getting, something on the scoreboard and say, hey, this drive wasn't a complete waste. And with that, you can just, who knows, if some of those kicks were made, the momentum might have not shifted entirely, but at least you can make it even for Lamar to just go haywire and just score more points.
Thanks for the call, brother. It's great to see you, my guy.
All right. Great seeing you, Bobby. Hey, that PMRMI head that you have on your ad, I think you need a full photo instead of just your head on a body.
I think so, too. They're doing my big forehead tough. They're doing me dirty.
Yeah.
I'll send that message. I appreciate the feedback.
All right.
See you, brother. Mr. Manny, more thoughts here on player prospect visits. Sometimes these are smoke screens. Other times there may be hints at where the Ravens feel like their biggest priorities lie. Georgia linebacker Smile Mondin was in Baltimore, perhaps still is, visiting with the Ravens today. Interesting. Makes me think about what their plans are, what they feel like they maybe have in Trenton Simpson. We know Roquan Smith and his place is pretty much intact. Smile Mondin, by the way, it's pronounced Smile, which I easily get on board with that type of name. He's 6'2", 224, ran a 4.58 40, a 1.52 10-yard split. Lance Zierlein's overview, by the way, he's got him as a potential day 2 pick in terms of his draft projection at round 3. And he writes, Mondin is physical and can run. He's quick to flow downhill and challenge blocks with good pop. He's inconsistent to diagnose and flow accurately to his fits, but he has good pursuit speed to range and tackle to the sidelines. He pursues the action with focus and leverage. Mondin becomes tackle ready quickly in space. He's effective on passing downs with good coverage and blitz talent. The run game instincts could slow him early in his career, but he's a battle-tested 3-down option with special teams value and starting potential. That is who was in Baltimore yesterday. I should say today, but that's who the Ravens took a look at. That now brings us to another visit. An Alabama A&M offensive tackle by the name of Carson Vinson. Of course, tackle is an area that was probably the biggest, by far, biggest area that the Ravens needed to address in free agency, and they did so by keeping their homegrown franchise left tackle exactly that, home. Carson Vinson, of course, that's Ronnie Stanley, by the way. If you've been living under a rock this offseason, he was awarded a 3-year extension. Carson Vinson is 6'7", 314. Senior class, 34.5-inch arms, 10.25-inch hands. He ran a 5.12 second 40-yard dash. Not exactly going to wow you in the 40-yard dash. He's a day 3 projected offensive lineman. A developmental project, perhaps, as most players are at that position on day 3. Vinson will need at least a year, according to Lance Zierlein, to further develop his body and technique before taking on NFL competition. He carries good length and adequate athletic qualities, but struggles to find enough anchor and strength when matched against bigger, better opponents. He flashes the tools to potentially compete in a moved-based blocking scheme, but must prove he can stall out pass rushers with greater consistency before he can be considered NFL ready. That is a prospect that's been in Baltimore. One prospect, and I should say one prospect position that's been comped to Baltimore over and over again is safety. And the latest that the Ravens have at least shown perceived interest in is Virginia safety Jonas Sanker. He's visiting the Falcons tomorrow, Lions on Wednesday. He's got 5 total visits, along with a few other trips. The Commanders, Panthers, and of course, the Baltimore Ravens. Who is he? I'll tell you a little bit about the Virginia ball hawk. He's 6 feet tall, 206 pounds, ran a 4.48 in the 40, a 1.51 second 10-yard split. Lance Zierlein has him projected day 2, potentially early day 3. Energetic safety with good production, but areas to clean up in his game. The 3-year starter possesses good size and strength with a willingness to play downhill that led to a high tackle count. Sanker is long and rangy, but gets himself in trouble with inconsistent pursuit angles. He's adept at matching up against big slot receivers in man and plays with quick, instinctive eyes and a good burst to close in zone. He gets caught staring into the backfield at times, so his team will need to work on his eye discipline and focus. Sanker's traits and special teams value could lock him into an NFL roster early and give him a chance to work his way up. I more and more feel this urge, this reaction, this gut feeling that safety could very well be the direction in which Baltimore heads in the first round at 27 overall. And when you listen to the draft guru himself, Mel Kiper, speak on Malachi Starks out of Georgia, I think your imagination starts to kick in, thinking about what life could be like with Malachi Starks on the back end, freeing up the likes of Kyle Hamilton to be the rangy, versatile unicorn that we all know and love to see from him. Listen to Mel. This was courtesy of the Lounge podcast with Ryan and Garrett that dropped this morning.
Hello, guys that have great football IQ. Those are smart football players, versatile football players, but just ballers. And Malachi Starks, to me, this past year, they moved him around. I mean, when you can just focus on one spot and one role, and he can wear a lot of hats. There's no doubt about that. But the range he shows, the ability of the tackling ability, which some people question this year, he didn't have the best year he could have had. He did not have the year he had 2 years ago. But he didn't have the interception until he had the great interception against Clemson. He didn't have that. So his career total would have been a lot higher had he had more opportunities this year. But, yeah, they were moving him around. So at the end of the day, Malachi Starks, to me, you have to go back to 2023. And if you did, going into the year, guys, I had him as the 7th or 8th best player in the draft.
Wow.
And I always try to go back to that. I always try to go back to early August, mid-August, when those ratings boards start to come out and become formulated, and I finalize my opinions going into the year. Malachi Starks was right there. And as like I say, one of the top 6, 7, 8 best players in this draft. So when you start talking about him in the late 20s, where the Ravens are picking, we talk about value in the draft. How do you get value? You get value either by a guy being injured, banged up, and prevented him from playing to the level of his talent, or he was misused, talent around him wasn't the same. For whatever reason, it just didn't click. It just didn't work to the level it did the previous year. In Malachi Starks' case, that was what happened. So now you can benefit from that. You don't get great value picks because the guy played great. You get great value picks because there's a question. Something went awry, whether it was injury, not playing up to the level expected, whatever. And so for Malachi Starks, if he's there at the end of the first round, I'll forget pass rusher. I would take Malachi Starks.
All right. So again, the key there in understanding what Mel was getting at was he feels like what most allows the Ravens to get over the hump is investing and continuing to develop and bringing in depth at edge rusher, at pass rusher. But if Malachi Starks is on the board at 27, he is turning in his card. Malachi, if you need a refresher on him, we've talked about him a lot. He's been comped to Baltimore, mocked to Baltimore a lot. He's 6'1", 197, 31 and 5/8 inch arms, 9.5 hand size. He's a junior class, played a lot of college football and effective and productive college football for Georgia, even though his final year was not his best year, as you heard there from Mel. He ran a 4.5 40-yard dash, a 1.51 second 10-yard split, a 33-inch vertical jump. Lance Zierlein projects him as a round 1 or round 2 player. He was a 3-year starter with reams of high-leverage games on his resume. Such is life when you go to Georgia. Starks is a versatile safety with the size and athleticism to eliminate contested catches and the speed and ball skills to shine when the action travels deep. Connection to the route is inconsistent in man, and he's baited out of position by misdirection, but better discipline and anticipation should clean that up. He's not a true force player near the line, and his pursuit angles can be raggedy, but he gets guys down when he's in position. Starks has feast or famine moments on tape and disappointed with his short area testing at the NFL Scouting Combine. He ran well in Indy, though, and was impressive in interviews with teams. He's a future starter as a movable back-end piece whose consistency will determine his floor/ceiling. Dre Dog, I'm with you. I am partial to Nick Emanwari out of South Carolina, as I know you are because of your residence. Now, I know you like the way that he plays as well, and you're familiar with his game. I get the sense that he's going to be off the board prior to when the Ravens are selecting at 27. And if that means it's between Xavier Watts, Malachi Starks, Donovan Ezeracco, whoever it might be, I think Starks would probably be the pick if those are the players that are still on the board. If something crazy happens and a Mike Green falls, okay, you're taking him and running. I'm guessing Shamar Stewart will still be on the board. Again, that feels to me like an experiment that's a high risk, and you don't know how much reward you're getting in return. Will that reward come in year 4 the way that it did with Odafe Oweh, who had a very unproductive, at least when you measure him on sacks, career at Penn State, much like Shamar Stewart was? At this point, you don't want to have to wait 4 years for a double-digit sack guy. You want to bring somebody in that at least, okay, maybe he won't be categorized as a game wrecker in 2025, but can he be a rotational guy? Can he be somebody that gives Kyle Van Noy a breather, that brings out the best, right? Competition breeds excellence in Odafe Oweh. That's the type of player that you should be gunning for in a top 15 player, ideally, on your board. Speaking of Shamar Stewart, the Texas A&M pass rusher, Mel Kiper did not hold back his thoughts on him whatsoever. I'll go through the numbers in just a bit, but listen to what Mel has to say about a player that was getting a lot of hype when I was in Indy at the Combine, and since then it has settled and settled significantly.
I do not think they would take Shamar Stewart. To answer your question, Ryan, no, I don't think Shamar Stewart will be a Raven. It's just because of the fact that when you watch him, I didn't see the disruptive plays. I didn't see him beating a guy initially that he should have. I call him AOG. I kind of coined that phrase. You know what it stands for, right? Another occupation guy. That's AOG. So most of the guys you play against in college, I call them AOGs.
Yeah.
If you can't beat them, you're playing against the best in the world when you get to the NFL on a play-by-play basis, even if it's a backup. These are the best in the world playing in the NFL. These are AOGs, okay? So if you can't beat them, all of a sudden it's going to click in the NFL. So to answer your question, I think Shamar Stewart, a defensive line coach will probably fight for him, say, I can take him.
Mm-hmm.
I can make him. If you're taking him in the first round, you better be thinking 10 to 12 sacks a year. That's what I always
Right.
finally got to that point this year, right? You got to be thinking first round pass rusher, I got to be getting double-digit sacks out of this guy. If I can't get that, am I going to take him? Look at Trey Hendrickson. What's he getting, 17 a year? He was, a third-round draft choice.
Right.
So now Daniil Hunter didn't have many sacks at LSU. He's got 99 career sacks now. He was a fourth-round pick. So you have had outliers that have not had great sack production in college that have gone on to do it, but they're outliers. And Bill Polian told me and screamed at me, you don't draft outliers. Okay? If we have a range on a wide 9 that says a wide 9 has got to be 4.65 or better, we can't draft a guy at 4.71 for a 40.
Right.
Can't do it. So you got what's it take, guys, to be able to do? You got to have discipline. Part of being a great evaluator is being disciplined in your approach and not letting something happen and say, well, I'm going to make an exception to the rule. I'm going to do something away from what I normally would do, and I'm going to take a shot on this guy. Well, I guess you could do it once in a while. Can't make a living doing that. So if teams that say, hey, production, the final 7 games of the last 3 years at Texas A&M, he did not record a sack. That's the final 7 games of 3 straight years. 1.5. 3 years ago, 1.5. 2 years ago, 1.5 this year. That's 4.5 sacks in his career. There's guys had 4.5 sacks in a game this year. I couldn't do it myself. He's graded at a point where I have him on the board, that 25 to 28 area that I know he's going to go higher. And I've always believed if you're picking where the Ravens are, you got to get a guy on your board that's in the top 15. It's going to work that way. You're going to get a guy that's on your board, one of the best 15 players in this draft. It's not going to be Shamar Stewart. For me, no.
Okay, so first of all, I said this in the vault earlier today. I have to say it again. You guys thought Steve Smith came up with a all-time petty phase jag, just a guy? Mel Kiper just one-upped him. AOG, another occupation guy. Meaning if Shamar Stewart isn't consistently beating AOGs at the collegiate level, how do you think he's going to do on Sundays? Okay, context here. And first, just some thoughts on Shamar. 6'5", 267, 34 and 1/8 inch arms, 9 and 5/8 inch hands. Ran a 4.59 40, a 1.58 10-yard split, 40-inch vertical, 10-foot 11-inch broad jump. And Lance Zierlein's right up, kind of similar to what you heard there from Mel. Stewart's carved from granite, possessing a rare blend of traits, explosiveness, and untapped upside. He's long and sudden off the snap, but hasn't learned to weaponize his hands to control the point of attack and bypass protection with go-to moves. His bull rush compresses the pocket off the edge, and he's too athletic for guards when reduced inside. He can be very disruptive in both phases, but requires additional training to start converting his opportunities into finishes. The lack of production relative to the traits is a concern. Still, players who move like him are highly coveted. While the boomer bust label might be in play, it feels like a matter of time before it all starts to click at a high level. And again, there's plenty of weaknesses, as you see here, from Lance Zierlein. Just to reiterate what you heard from Mel Kiper, he had 1.5 sacks each season, and that was it, for a total of 4.5 over 3 seasons at Texas A&M. That's 37 games, 4.5 sacks. Now, some of you who are more optimistic about this might ask, okay, Adafe is coming off a career year, a Pro Bowl caliber season with 10 total sacks, hitting the double-digit category for the first time in his career, had his 5th-year option picked up this time last year. We all know that. You might be like, okay, well, give me his numbers at Penn State, because he also played 3 years for the Nittany Lions. Adafe played in 24 collegiate games, just 7 sacks. 2 his first season, 5 his sophomore season, and none and none over just 7 games played his final season at Penn State. To me, in summary, if you want a developmental player that you might risk taking 4 years to do so, go ahead and take Shamar and gamble on him. Sure, the reward might be really high if that outlier ends up going the opposite way and he ends up developing under Chuck Smith quickly. But if history repeats itself and you've already gone to that Penn State well quite a bit, you're not going back to it with Shamar. He played at Texas A&M, SEC football. Point is, I think a lot of this fan base has grown tired, grown impatient of the player that shows up and isn't ready to contribute right away when we're talking about first-round draft capital. And I get it. There are times that patience is required. I don't think Lamar Jackson has any patience left in terms of what he's chasing. And if you feel like the mountaintop's right around the corner, you better act like it. Sip to Tally's in the building. Coach Evans, what's good, my man? 10 days out from the draft. I know you're ready to rumble, ready to rock. Hope you're enjoying yourself. Guys, go check him out. The Sip to Tally YouTube program. It's got a little bit of everything. Coach has got great expertise. Would love for you guys to join the Bobby Baltimore Discord server if you haven't already done so. It is a 24/7 hub for conversation surrounding Baltimore sports. The link to do so is totally free, by the way. Was just dropped into the live chat. You can also find this link in the show notes. I added a couple different layers here. I'm continuing to expand this chat. We have a Maryland Terrapins server. We've got football. We've got baseball. We've got the Caps for you hockey fans as the NHL playoffs near. I wanted to add a golf chat in here after just a wonderful final round at Augusta yesterday that saw Rory McIlroy complete the career Grand Slam by winning the Masters tournament. It was an electric final round. He double bogeyed and squandered the opening hole, squandered that 2-shot lead over Bryson DeChambeau. The lead changes, the 2-shot swings. I mean, it was an incredible day of golf. And for Justin Rose, by the way, to hang in there and force a playoff after everything he had dealt with on moving day Saturday, I don't remember being glued to golf coverage the way that I was yesterday since Tiger Woods made his run at the 2019 Masters. So hopefully some of you were able to enjoy that. I know I did. And maybe if we get more and more golf fans in this chat, in this Discord server, I'll go ahead and make a golf room. Appreciate you guys for being here. Please like the video on your way in if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell. Subscribe. Coming up on 25,000 subscriptions. Would love to get there at some point soon. Interesting thought on this and how this relates to the Ravens. Derek Carr now is potentially in jeopardy of really losing his upcoming season. The Saints, as many of you know, it's a new era there with Kellen Moore as their next head coach, but they are set to draft 9th overall. Okay. If Derek Carr, here's the funny thing. Even if Derek Carr were to be available this upcoming season at the quarterback position for them, why wouldn't they go ahead and draft the quarterback anyway if they so choose and if they so think that quarterback is something that they need depth on and that they need a franchise player on and that they like somebody that might be there and might be available like a Shedeur Sanders should he slip to number 9? Does this change things? Mel Kiper gave his perspective from a Ravens mindset. Remember, he is a Ravens fan through and through, went to Calvert Hall, originally from Baltimore, still lives in the area. He doesn't like the idea of Shedeur Sanders suiting up as a Pittsburgh Steeler. Should he not land with the New Orleans Saints? Should he not land with the Giants? Should he not land with Cleveland? He'd be free falling in this scenario all the way to number 21. The Derek Carr news might change this. But listen to Mel Kiper on the idea of Shedeur Sanders ending up as a Pittsburgh Steeler.
Sitting here in Baltimore, I'm a Raven fan. You're all Raven fans. Love the Ravens, right? Do we want Shedeur Sanders in Pittsburgh? I don't. Okay, because Shedeur's a winner, and he will find a way to get the ball to those receivers. This notion you can't play in Pittsburgh if you're Shedeur. Well, Brady played in New England and didn't have the great arm and didn't have any speed. Brady ran a 5.2 4.40 and had 24 vertical. That's the worst vertical and the worst 40 of any quarterback I've ever evaluated. Okay, you talk about where we are right now in terms of Shedeur Sanders. Could he be there with the Pittsburgh Steelers pick at 21? Could he fall in their lap? Ben Roethlisberger fell in their lap after Rivers and Eli went early, right? Mm-hmm. Look how that worked out. Ben Roethlisberger fell in their lap. Will same thing happen with Shedeur Sanders? I don't think they'll take Jackson Dart. If Shedeur's gone, I've been told not for Jackson Dart because it may be a little too much Kenny Pickett there, right? Not enough upside, whatever you want to talk about there. Mm-hmm. I don't think Tyler Shuck's going that high either. Don't think it'll be Jalen Milroe necessarily, but Jalen Milroe's intriguing. If he can fix that accuracy, you got a special player.
So if we're watching the draft on the first night, and you hear Shedeur Sanders go in the top 10, one of those teams takes him early, we're going to get a big round of applause from you on the ESPN desk there?
Well, I'll be very, very satisfied that it's not going to impact the Ravens negatively, and the Steelers won't get the quarterback I would think they would want to see slide down that far. I don't have a problem with Tyler Shuck going there. Don't have a problem with Jackson Dart going there. Wouldn't have a problem with Jalen Milroe going there. But I don't want to see Shedeur in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform. And that could happen. That'll be our worst nightmare if that starts to happen. Maybe somebody will try to jump ahead of them and grab him. I don't know. I don't know what New Orleans is going to do at 9. They could take him. They could take Dart. They could not even take a quarterback. Okay? There are some that think they're not going to go quarterback. That's not going to happen. I think they could. Kellen Moore handpicked his quarterback. If he likes one of the two, take him. We'll see. Shedeur's not probably going to go to the Giants. We know that now, right? He's not going anywhere past New Orleans. Where's he going to go? Then you get into no man's land. If it's not the Steelers, the Rams, now I keep hearing maybe the Rams won't take a quarterback. Will somebody else trade back in? Well, you know what happens here? Now, Pittsburgh doesn't get a quarterback. Pittsburgh has no 2. That's going to be the story of the first round. Aaron Rodgers started to slide, and Green Bay just waited it out.
Well, I mean, Lamar Jackson. How about Lamar Jackson?
Boomer Esiason, guys, ranked the 3rd best player in the draft my first year at ESPN in 1984. They had 3 picks in the first round, did not take Boomer. They took him in the second round. The 3rd player on the board went in the second round. Favre was 14, went in the second round. Okay? It's happened before. It can happen again. Mm-hmm. So there's a chance that Shedeur could be there at 21.
Mel Kiper, courtesy of the Guys in the Lounge podcast, the team's official show there at One Winning Drive. Interesting stuff. Look, I think this Derek Carr news really all but says, assuming that New Orleans doesn't have a sleeper favorite at the quarterback position outside of Cam Ward, because he's going to be off the board by then, that Shedeur could very well go to New Orleans and that we won't have to live in this world of hypotheticals with Shedeur being a Pittsburgh Steeler. But I can tell you this, the way this team is built, assuming that TJ Watt will be back, even after last week's cryptic Instagram posts, the contract situation, all the players around him that have been paid this offseason, like a Myles Garrett. Pittsburgh's built to win and built to compete and built to out-physical you. Now, the Ravens are obviously built to do all those things as well, which makes the rivalry so special. But what the Steelers haven't had since Ben Roethlisberger retired, and really down the stretch of Ben's career as well, is stability at the quarterback position. And when you bring in Aaron Rodgers with really nothing to lose at this point of his career and on the other side of 40, to me, that they will be the most presentable, they will be the most capable of wrecking this division, or at least competing in this division and being an actual force for the first time since Ben Roethlisberger left. That's my thought on it. You got to remember they brought in DK Metcalf. As of right now, could change draft weekend. George Pickens will still be out there for the taking as well. You have a very capable tight end in Pat Freiermuth, and they have to retool at the running back position. Najee Harris left in free agency. We know what this defense is all about. To me, the idea of Aaron Rodgers coming in on the back 9 of his career, despite what he's put on film the last 2 years as a New York Jet, with all the dysfunction, with all the injuries, with all the up and down nature of his offensive line from a protection standpoint, that scares me more than the overall project that would be a young Shedeur Sanders. I get it. Shedeur is a processor. Shedeur is accurate as hell. Shedeur has great NFL type of IQ, right, when it comes to being the son of Deion Sanders. And I'm sure he's somebody that will transition and translate well. But the idea of the alternative, the former of those two options, concerns me. It would concern me if I would be a Ravens fan. That's my thought on it. I'm sure the chat will have plenty to say about those two options. Appreciate you guys for being with me. It's good to get back in the saddle here. 60 minutes of content is in. Thanks for being here. Like the video on your way out. Subscribe if you haven't already. I would love for you to join the Bobby Baltimore Discord server. We are coming up on 1,000 members. It's a great community. It's a great way to connect with me. It's a great way to connect with other Ravens fans, other sports fans. It's free. I just dropped the link once more in the live chat. Thanks to Primary Residential Mortgage for sponsoring this episode. If you guys are interested in applying and going through the pre-approval loan process to get your home buying journey started, I couldn't recommend them enough. My guy, Zach Evans, in the business development department is helping me literally as we speak, as I'm weighing all my options and next move as well. Thanks, guys. I'll catch up with you tomorrow. It will not be a 12 noon start, by the way, on the Vault because of the Liars Luncheon. It's the annual pre-draft press conference that the Ravens hold at One Winning Drive. It is set to start at 11:45. Sarah and I will try and attempt to turn around our content as quickly as possible. I'm guessing it won't be until the 1 o'clock hour that we start. So just have some patience there. We'll have more for you coming up tomorrow. I appreciate you guys for hanging out with me. Have an awesome rest of your Mondays. I'll try and be back as much as I possibly can this week because I missed you in this late afternoon window. Talk to you.